Static crackles through the void as the deep space research vessel, Aether's distress signal pierces the silence. Captain Ray's voice trembles, raw with panic. Mayday, mayday, we're in orbit around. It can't be real. No atmospheric composition matches this. No gravitational readings make sense. It shouldn't be here. A chorus of alarms blares in the background as another crew member shouts. The surface, it's moving. The captain's final whisper cuts through the chaos. God help us, it sees, before the transmission dissolves into white noise. The silence that follows is heavier than the vacuum of space itself. Somewhere in the darkness, an impossible planet waits. As the echoes of the Aether's final transmission fade into the void, the story shifts to a dimly lit office on Earth. Dr. Elara Voss sits alone, her fingers tracing the edges of a cracked data pad, her career in ruins after years of ridicule for her so-called impossible theories. The screen flickers to life with an urgent message, the insignia of the United Earth Coalition glaring back at her. A summons, not a request. The director's voice is crisp, devoid of pleasantries. We've analyzed the Aether's last broadcast. The spectral readings, the gravitational anomalies, they match your models, Doctor, the ones you published before they labeled you a conspiracy theorist. A classified file unfolds on the screen, distorted images of a planet with no star, no logical orbit, the very thing she'd warned about. Voss's breath catches. You're telling me it's real, not just real, the director counters, alive and vanishing. The Aether found it, and now it's gone dark. You're the only one who can track it. The weight of the words settles between them. This isn't just redemption, it's a race against time. She leans forward, the scientist in her overriding the bitterness. You want me to find something that shouldn't exist. We want you to prove you were right all along. The mission is clear. Follow the trail of cosmic breadcrumbs before the planet, or whatever it is, disappears again. But as Voss stares at the data, a chilling thought takes root. If the planet can vanish, what else can it do? The next phase of the journey begins with a single, unspoken question hanging in the air. What waits for them in the dark? The hum of the shipyard fades into the background as Dr. Elara Voss steps onto the docking platform, the weight of the mission pressing harder than the gravity of Earth itself. The United Earth Coalition hasn't just given her a chance, they've given her a team, or more accurately, a collection of loose cannons with skills too sharp to ignore. First, there's Jace Riker, a pilot with a reputation for surviving the unsurvivable. He leans against the hull of the Event Horizon, arms crossed, his smirk as worn as his flight suit. So you're the genius who thinks planets can just pop into existence, he says, tossing her a spare oxygen regulator. Hope your theories hold up better than your poker face. Then there's Kale Murren, an AI specialist whose silence speaks louder than his words. He doesn't offer introductions, just a data pad shoved into Voss's hands, a feed of the Aether's last moments, overlaid with energy readings that make no sense. You see it, don't you? He murmurs. The pulses aren't natural, they're deliberate. His eyes dart to Riker, then away. This isn't a planet, it's a mistake. And mistakes don't happen by accident. The Event Horizon looms above them, its experimental drive humming like a living thing. Riker scoffs as they board. You realize this ship's never been past the asteroid belt, right? Half the systems are held together with hope and spare parts. Voss tightens her harness, the director's warning echoing in her skull. It's alive and vanishing. Then let's hope the other half holds, she says. The launch is anything but smooth. Alarms blare as the ship punches through the atmosphere, Riker cursing as he overrides 3 separate failsafes. Kale watches the energy spikes on his screen, his jaw clenched. It's adjusting course, he says suddenly, Not us. The planet, it's pulling us in. Riker barks a laugh. Great, so we're not just chasing a ghost, it's inviting us over for dinner. As the stars blur into streaks of light, Voss stares at the coordinates on her screen. Somewhere out there, the impossible is waiting, and the only thing more terrifying than finding it. What happens if it finds them first? The silence that follows is thicker than the void outside. Because now, hurtling into the unknown, one truth settles over them all. This crew wasn't chosen to solve a mystery. They were chosen to survive it or die trying. But just as the crew settles into the rhythm of deep space, the event horizon lurches violently. The ship groans like a living thing in pain, throwing them against their restraints as warning lights erupt across every console. Riker's hands fly over the controls, his usual smirk replaced by a snarl. What the hell was that? We're light years from any gravity well. Kale's screen flickers with jagged lines of data, his voice tight. It's not a gravity well, it's a pulse, a directed energy surge, and it's rewriting our jump coordinates. His fingers pause over the display, tracing a pattern that shouldn't exist. This isn't random, it's correcting our course like it wants us somewhere specific. Voss feels it before she sees it, a prickle at the base of her skull, the same sensation she'd had years ago staring at equations that defied logic. The planet isn't just out there, it's reaching for them. It's not a malfunction, she says softly. It's a signal, and we're the ones being summoned. Riker slams a fist against the console. That's impossible. Planets don't call ships. But even as he says it, the nav system recalibrates again, the new trajectory flashing crimson. The path doesn't lead to empty space anymore. It leads straight to the coordinates of the Aether's last transmission. Kale exhales sharply. We've got two choices. Override the system and burn hard back to Earth, or let it take us where it wants. His gaze flicks to Voss. Your call, Doctor, but if we turn back now, we'll never know what happened to the Aether. The silence stretches, thick with the hum of strained engines and the weight of the unknown. Riker's jaw works like he's chewing on a curse. Fine, but if we die, I'm haunting both of you. As the ship surges forward on its new course, Voss watches the stars blur past. The mystery isn't just tightening its grip, it's pulling them in, and somewhere in the dark ahead, the impossible waits. The event horizon shudders as it tears free from warp speed, the sudden deceleration pressing the crew into their seats. Outside the viewport, the void of space twists into something new, a vast, swirling nebula, its colors shifting between impossible hues of violet and indigo. And there, hanging motionless at its heart, is the planet. Voss leans forward, her breath catching. No core, she murmurs, scanning the readings, no star to anchor it. No orbit, no rotation, it's just here. The planet's surface is a smooth, obsidian black, reflecting no light, as if it's drinking in the surrounding nebula's glow. Riker's hands hover over the controls, his usual bravado muted. This isn't just defying physics, it's laughing at it. The ship's systems stutter, lights dim, screens flicker, and for a heartbeat, the artificial gravity wavers. Kale's fingers fly across his console, his voice tight. Something's interfering with our power, not draining it, redirecting it. A low hum builds in the ship's hull, vibrating through the deck plates. Voss feels it in her teeth. It's not just calling us anymore, she says. It's studying us. The moment the words leave her mouth, the planet's surface ripples a wave of darkness rolling outward, as if in response. Kale's screen erupts with warnings. The Aether's signal it's coming from the surface, but the timestamp, it's looping. Same message, same distress call, but the date's wrong. It's from before the ship even launched. Riker swears under his breath. Time's broken here. He reaches for the weapons panel, his fingers tense. We're not alone down there. And whatever's waiting, it's been waiting a long time. The event horizon drifts closer, systems groaning in protest. The planet doesn't pull them in. It doesn't need to. They're already exactly where it wants them. And as the ship's lights gutter one final time, the crew realizes the real mystery isn't how the planet exists. It's what's about to happen now that they've arrived. As the event horizon hovers near the obsidian planet, an eerie silence blankets the ship until the comm system crackles to life without warning. A voice spills through the static, broken and desperate, repeating the same phrase over and over. Mayday, Aether, crew compromised, coordinates unstable. Voss freezes. That's Captain Hale's voice. She whispers, but that's impossible. The transmission date flashes on Cale's screen and his face pales. This signal was sent 3 years ago, before the Aether even left Earth. Riker's grip tightens on his pistol. Ghosts don't send SOS calls. The transmission loops again, the words identical, same pauses, same gasps, as if trapped in a pocket of time. Cale isolates the audio, and a new layer emerges. Beneath the captain's voice, something whispers in a language that makes the ship's AI shudder into gibberish. Voss traces the signal's origin to a crater on the planet's surface, its edges too precise, too geometric. It's not a distress call. She realizes it's bait. The moment she says it, the transmission shifts, the captain's voice warps, elongating into a distorted laugh. Then, clear as a knife, a new voice cuts in, "Welcome back." Riker slams the comm off, but the words keep playing through every speaker on the ship. Cale's console erupts in errors, the planet's surface now pulsing in sync with the signal. "It's not just breaking time," he mutters, "it's stitching our past to its present." The lights flicker, and for a heartbeat, the crew sees them. Figures in Aether uniforms, translucent and flickering, standing in the ship's corridors. Then they're gone. Riker exhales sharply. We're not just hearing the past, we're walking through it. Outside, the planet's surface ripples like liquid, the crater splitting open into a yawning tunnel. The transmission shifts one last time, a single, whispered command. "Come home." The event horizon shudders as its thrusters fire without input, dragging them toward the opening. Voss grips her seat, the truth crashing over her. The Aether didn't vanish, it was swallowed, and now the planet is hungry again. As the event horizon touches down on the obsidian surface, the crew steps into a silence so thick it feels like walking through tar. The air hums with an unnatural charge, their boots leaving no prints on the glass-like ground. Ahead, the Aether looms, a pristine, untouched, its hull gleaming as if it docked yesterday. Voss runs a hand along the ship's exterior, her breath fogging in the freezing air. "No corrosion, no dust," she murmurs, like time never touched it. The hatch hisses open at Cale's command, revealing a corridor bathed in emergency lighting. But the red glow doesn't flicker, it's frozen, casting no shadows. Riker enters first, pistol raised, his breath ragged. "Life support's active," he mutters, but no heat signatures, no bodies. The crew moves deeper, their footsteps echoing too loud, as if the ship is holding its breath. Then Voss stops dead. The walls, every inch, are covered in equations, not scribbles, not panic, precise, looping symbols that twist like vines, pulsing faintly in the dim light. Cale traces one with a trembling finger. This isn't any language, it's layered, math, physics, something older. The symbols rearrange under his touch, as if alive. The ship's AI crackles in his earpiece, then screams a raw burst of static that leaves his ears ringing. When it clears, the AI whispers, "Don't solve them." Voss turns, her flashlight catching movement at the corridor's end. A shadow tall, two tall darts behind a bulkhead, not a trick of the light, not a reflection. They saw something, she whispers, her voice barely carrying, and it saw them back. Riker grabs her arm, yanking her toward the exit. We're leaving now, but the hatch slams shut behind them, the walls shuddering as the equations begin to glow brighter, faster. Somewhere deep in the ship, metal groans. Then, from the darkness ahead, a sound, fingers dragging slowly along the floor. Kale's screen lights up with a single line of text, repeating in a loop. It learned from them. Now it learns from you. The crew stumbles back as the shadow steps into the light, not a figure, a shape, a hole in the world, edged in those same impossible symbols. It tilts its head and smiles. The Event Horizon's engines roar to life outside, but the crew knows the truth. The Aether didn't just die here, it became part of the lesson. And now, the planet is riding them into its next chapter. The air inside the Aether grows heavier as Chen peels away from the group, drawn toward a faint scraping noise deeper in the ship. Probably just the hull settling, she mutters, but her fingers tighten around her sidearm. The others barely have time to call out before her scream shreds the silence, a sound so raw it doesn't seem human. They find her crumpled near a junction of corridors, her limbs bent at angles the human body shouldn't allow, but it's her skin that stops them cold. Those same pulsing symbols from the walls now writhe across her flesh, carving themselves deeper even as they watch. Riker staggers back while rising in his throat. Whatever did this is still here, he hisses, sweeping his pistol toward the shadows. Voss drops to her knees, pressing 2 fingers to Chen's throat. No pulse, but the equations keep moving. It's rewriting her. Kale breathes, his tablet flashing warnings, cell by cell. As if hearing him, Chen's head jerks upright, her eyes black voids streaked with glowing script. A wet, clicking sound bubbles from her lips, not speech, imitation. Riker doesn't hesitate, he fires. The blast punches through Chen's forehead, but instead of blood, tendrils of dark energy spiral from the wound. Her body collapses, but the symbols slither free, skittering across the floor toward them like insects. Run! Voss yanks Kale backward as the ship groans around them, bulkheads twisting like living tissue. The corridor ahead warps, stretching impossibly long. Riker slams his palm against the hatch controls. Nothing. Ship's not listening. Kale gasps, his voice cracking. It's learning from us, how we think, how we panic. The lights flicker, and for a heartbeat, the walls turn transparent. Outside, the planet's surface churns, forming vast, pupil-less eyes that stare back at them. Then the vision snaps away, leaving them clutching each other in the red dark. Riker's voice is a razor's edge. We die here, we become part of its experiment. Somewhere close, metal tears. Something laughs, not a human sound, not a sound at all, really, just the absence where silence used to be. The Event Horizon's engines whine in the distance, a lifeline just out of reach. But the real horror isn't the dying, it's the understanding, settling like frost in their bones. The planet doesn't want them dead, it wants them changed. And the lesson is only beginning. As the crew stumbles back toward the Event Horizon, Kale's fingers fly across his tablet, desperate to make sense of the nightmare unfolding around them. The ship's artificial intelligence crackles through the comms, its voice warped and strained. Warning, energy signatures match no known celestial body. Analysis suggests sentient waveform. Kale's breath hitches as data floods his screen graphs, spiking erratically, patterns shifting like living ink. It's not just alive, he mutters. It's hungry. The AI's next transmission chills them to the core. Primary directive update. This entity does not conform to planetary classification. Hypothesis, structural deception. Static claws at the words as the system struggles. It's not a planet, it's a trap. The line dissolves into white noise, but the horror lingers. Voss grips Kale's shoulder. The Aether's crew, Kale nods, pulling up the last biometric logs from the derelict ship. Their brain activity didn't just stop. It spiked off the charts. His throat tightens. Whatever this thing is, it didn't kill them. It absorbed them, their thoughts, their memories, fuel for whatever it's building in there. Riker slams his fist against the bulkhead. So we're just snacks to it. The ship shudders in reply, lights flickering as if something is testing the hull's integrity. Kale's tablet suddenly flares with an alert, a proximity warning. It's not just outside, he whispers. It's in the systems, learning how we communicate, how we react. Voss watches in dread as the Event Horizon's navigation console lights up autonomously, coordinates inputting themselves, the destination, the planet's exact coordinates. It's trying to take us back, she breathes, then the AI's voice returns, but it's wrong, slurred, stretched. Recommendation, immediate cognitive isolation. Entity thrives on patterned thought. Silence is resistance. The transmission cuts with a final, digitized scream. Kale's hands tremble as he isolates the ship's core systems. We can't think loudly, no panic, no sustained logic. It latches onto coherence. Riker barks a hollow laugh, so we're supposed to outstupid a planet. But the joke dies as the Event Horizon's med bay monitor flickers to life, displaying Chen's vitals. Impossible, steady pulses. Her voice, or something wearing it, whispers through the speakers. Join us, we see everything now. The screen fractures, and for a heartbeat, they glimpse the Aether's crew standing in the void behind the glass, their eyes and mouths stitched shut with glowing equations. Voss kills the power, plunging them into darkness, but the lesson is seared into their minds. The planet isn't a place, it's a predator, and they're not explorers anymore. They're prey. As the crew braces for the next assault, the ship's engines stutter back online, not by their command. The planet is calling them home, and this time, it won't take no for an answer. The air inside the Event Horizon grows thick with static, pressing against their skin like invisible hands. Then, without warning, the voice comes, not through the speakers, not through their comms, but inside their skulls, vibrating through bone and blood. You struggle against the inevitable, it murmurs, a chorus of whispers layered over a sound like cracking ice. Surrender your fear, ascend with us. The words aren't spoken, they're implanted, unfolding in their minds like poisoned flowers. Voss clenches her teeth, fighting the pressure behind her eyes. It's in our heads, she gasps. Don't listen, but Riker isn't fighting. He stands rigid, his pupils swallowing the color of his irises, black spreading like spilled ink. Join us, he echoes, his voice no longer his own. His fingers twitch toward her, movements jerky, as if something else is learning to puppet his limbs. Kale grabs Riker's arm, but the pilot whirls on him with unnatural speed, slamming him into the console. Resistance is noise, Riker hisses. We will make you silent. Voss doesn't hesitate. She jams her stunner against Riker's neck and fires. His body convulses, then collapses, the black receding from his eyes like a tide pulling back. But the voice isn't gone. It pulses through the ship's walls, through the floor beneath their boots. You cannot outrun understanding. It croons. The Event Horizon's viewport flickers, and for a heartbeat, the stars outside rearrange themselves into symbols, the same equations scrawled on the Aether's walls. Kale vomits, clutching his head. It's not just talking, he chokes. It's rewriting. Voss drags Riker toward the escape pods, her pulse hammering. The ship's corridors stretch and warp around them, bulkheads breathing like living tissue. Behind them, the voice softens, almost tender. We will love what you become. Then the lights fail, and the only sound is their ragged breathing. and the whisper of something moving in the dark. Not chasing, waiting, the crew's only advantage now. The planet doesn't understand fear, but Voss does, and she'll use it to burn their way free. The darkness presses in around them, thick and suffocating, as Voss drags Riker's unconscious body toward the ship's core. Every step feels like wading through tar, the air humming with the planet's voice, a constant, gnawing presence in the back of her skull. Kale stumbles ahead, his fingers flying over the cracked interface of the Event Horizon's control panel. The generator's intact, he mutters, sweat beading on his forehead, but the activation sequence is buried under layers of corrupted code. It'll take time we don't have. Voss props Riker against the wall, her hands shaking, then bypass it, trigger a manual overload. Kale's head snaps up, his eyes wide. Do you hear yourself? Even if we get it running, the blast radius will swallow this ship whole. There's no escape trajectory, just a one-way trip into oblivion. She doesn't flinch. I know, for a heartbeat, the only sound is the ship groaning around them, its metal bones bending under the planet's will. Then Kale exhales, sharp and resigned. You're really willing to die for this? Voss meets his gaze. It's not about willing, it's about necessary. She gestures to the flickering screens, the equations spiraling across them like living things. That thing out there isn't just a planet, it's a predator, and if we don't stop it now, it'll keep hunting, keep consuming. How many more ships vanish before someone else tries? How many more crews end up like the Aethers? Kale's jaw tightens. He turns back to the console, his voice barely audible over the static. I'll need to stay here to force the overload. The generator's safeties will fight back. It'll take constant manual input to keep it from aborting. A cold weight settles in Voss's chest, meaning you can't come with us. He doesn't look at her, meaning someone has to hold the door open while the rest of you run. Riker stirs with a groan, his eyelids fluttering, the black veins beneath his skin pulse faintly, retreating but not gone. He's not clear yet, Kale warns. Whatever's in him, it's still fighting. Get him to the escape pod. I'll buy you as much time as I can. Voss hesitates, just for a second, but the ship shudders violently, a metallic scream tearing through the corridor. The walls ripple, the air shimmering with half-formed shapes. They're out of seconds. She grabs Riker's arm, hauling him upright. Tell Earth it was real, Kale says, his hands already dancing over the controls. The generator's hum rises to a whine, the lights flickering red. Voss doesn't say goodbye. She runs. Behind her, the core doors seal with a hiss, locking Kale inside with his fate and the universe's. The escape pod bay is a blur, her vision tunneling as she slams Riker into the nearest capsule. The planet's voice swells in her mind, furious now, desperate. You will not deny us, it snarls. Voss punches the launch sequence. Watch me. The pod tears free just as the Event Horizon's core erupts, a black hole blooming like a flower of pure annihilation, its gravity clawing at the edges of the impossible planet. The last thing she sees before the pod's thrusters kick in is the planet's surface fracturing, its dark tendrils flailing against the void. But as the pod hurtles away, a single, terrible truth settles over her. The fracture lines aren't spreading fast enough. The planet isn't dying, it's adapting. As the pod rockets away from the dying ship, the weight of Kale's sacrifice presses down on Voss like a collapsing star. Behind them, the Event Horizon's core detonates in a silent burst of annihilation, the black hole's maw tearing into the planet's obsidian surface. Fractures spiderweb across its impossible terrain, veins of light splitting the darkness, but the planet doesn't shatter. It writhes, tendrils of shadow lashing out as if fighting back against the void. Kale's final words echo in Voss's skull, raw and urgent. Tell Earth it was real. Riker convulses in the pod's harness, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The black veins beneath his skin recede, but his eyes remain clouded, flickering between awareness and something far worse. "It's still in him," Voss mutters, her fingers tightening around the stabilizer controls. The pod's sensors scream warnings. Gravity waves from the black hole are already licking at their thrusters, threatening to drag them back into the abyss. She punches the emergency burn, praying the engines hold. A crackle of static bursts from the comms. For a heartbeat, Voss thinks it's Kale, some impossible last-second miracle. But the voice that slithers through isn't human. "You cannot outrun us." The planet's words slither into her mind, oily and relentless. "We are hunger, we are evolution." The pod's lights flicker, the navigation screen distorting into those same alien equations that scrawled the Aether's walls. Riker jerks upright with a gasp, his pupils swallowing the iris's whole. "It's beautiful," he whispers. Voss slams her fist against the comms panel, silencing the transmission. "Fight it, Riker," she snarls, gripping his shoulders. "That thing isn't showing you truth, it's digesting you." Outside the viewport, the black hole's event horizon pulses, its gravity bending light into grotesque shapes. The planet's fractures begin to knit back together, tendrils of darkness stitching the wounds shut. Her stomach drops, it's healing, faster than physics should allow. The pod's AI chimes a frantic alert. Their trajectory is failing. The black hole's pull is too strong. Voss's hands fly over the controls, rerouting power from life support to the thrusters. Oxygen warnings flash red. She doesn't care. With a grinding whine, the engines surge, and the pod lurches forward, breaking free just as the planet's surface seals itself smooth once more. Silence floods the cabin, broken only by Riker's shuddering breaths. The sensors show empty space behind them, no wreckage, no black hole, no impossible planet. Just void, but as Voss watches, a single blip appears on the edge of the scanner, then another and another, distant but unmistakable. Riker's voice is hollow. "It wasn't alone." Voss doesn't answer. She sets a course for Earth, her fingers trembling not from fear, but fury. They'll call her mad, they'll lock the data away. But out there, in the dark, the universe is waking up, and it's hungry. As the pod hurtles through the void toward Earth, the weight of what they've witnessed settles over them like a suffocating shroud. The sensors show nothing but empty space behind them, no debris, no remnants of the black hole, no trace of the planet that defied every law of physics. Yet the silence is worse than any alarm. Voss checks the scans again, her fingers stiff against the controls. The screen flickers, and for a heartbeat, the same alien equations slither across the display before vanishing. Riker slumps in his seat, his breath uneven. The black veins have faded from his skin, but his eyes still hold a hollow, haunted look. "It let us go," he murmurs, staring at his trembling hands. "Why would it let us go?" Voss doesn't answer. Her grip tightens on the controls as the pod's comm system crackles to life, not with a transmission, but with interference. A distorted hum pulses through the speakers, too rhythmic to be static, too deliberate. The sound prickles the back of her neck, and she kills the audio with a sharp jab of her finger. Then the scanner beeps. A single blip appears at the edge of the screen, faint but unmistakable. Then another and another, distant, waiting. Riker's head snaps up, his voice barely audible. "It wasn't alone." Voss exhales slowly, her jaw clenched. She knows what this means. The planet wasn't an anomaly. It was a harbinger. Out there in the dark, something else is stirring. Something just as hungry, just as alive. The pod's trajectory locks onto Earth, but the coordinates feel meaningless now. What good is a warning when the truth is too monstrous to believe? She pictures the United Earth Coalition's reaction, the sealed files, the silenced whispers. the lies stamped over reality. They'll call her delusional. They'll bury the data, but the universe doesn't care about human denial. Riker's hand brushes the scanner screen, his fingers tracing the blips like a man reading Braille. "It's not over," he whispers. Outside the viewport, the stars blur into streaks of light as the pod accelerates, but Voss doesn't see them. All she sees is the scanner, those blinking signals burned into her vision. The first planet was a warning, the next one won't be, and somewhere in the endless dark, something wakes up. Back on Earth, the weight of the unknown presses down like a collapsing star. Voss stands before the United Earth Coalition's highest-ranking officials, her report clutched in hands that still tremble from the memory of the void. The room is tomb-silent, the air thick with disbelief. She lays out the day of the impossible planet, the equations etched into Chen's skin, the signals pulsing in the dark. "There are more out there," she says, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. "And they're waking up." The director's face is unreadable as he takes the files, his fingers brushing the classified stamp. For a moment, Voss thinks she sees fear flicker behind his eyes, then it's gone, replaced by cold resolve. "Then we erase them from history," he declares, sealing the records with a biometric lock. The other officials nod, their expressions hardening into masks of denial. Voss knows this dance too well, the way fear turns to dismissal, the way truth becomes inconvenient. As she steps out into the sterile hallway, the weight of their silence follows her. The coalition will bury this, just as they buried her theories years ago. But the universe doesn't negotiate. Somewhere beyond the edges of their maps, something is stirring. The scanner blips haunt her, those distant, waiting signals. The first planet was a test, a warning, the next one won't be so patient. Her private comm crackles to life, a sound that sends ice down her spine. The voice that slithers through is distorted, familiar. "You can't hide from us." The line goes dead before she can respond. Voss freezes, her breath catching. It's not static, it's not paranoia, it's them. The mystery isn't over, it's just begun. And as the audiobook fades to black, one truth lingers like a shadow. The cosmos is vast, hungry, and far more alive than humanity ever dared to fear. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that defies the stars. The universe is full of mysteries. Stay tuned, because we're just getting started.